Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you, Brad. And thanks, Jeff and team, for putting on the event. This is awesome. And also, I don't know how, but Jeff is in every room, every second of every day. I don't know how that works. I also love this table setup. It feels like I'm kind of hosting the Golden Globes, which is fantastic. Good morning, everyone. So very quick intro, as Brad said. So our team works very closely with partners and customers who are either exploring, sort of creating an XR program within their organization, or expanding an existing one. So that's where we spend the majority of our time. So you've heard us share this a number of times over the last few years, but we believe that XR and wearable tech is going to be the next general compute platform. That has not changed. I think one of the things that I personally love about this event is that it really characterizes the fact that the success of the next general compute is not going to be because of one individual company. It is going to be because of the hundreds, now thousands of organizations that are building absolutely incredible experiences for that, and both on the hardware and the software side. We were here last year. We announced Quest 3 and Quest for Business, which is our enterprise platform for managing those devices. What we're going to do is spend a bit of time talking about some of the announcements that we made most recently. Some of you might have seen some of our announcements at Connect. There's going to be a ton of sessions this week talking about sort of deep diving into how XR is applicable to the enterprise space. So we're going to touch on that, but we're going to spend a little bit more time just on sort of where our investments are, both in terms of the near-term stuff we've released and also future-facing. Awesome. So the two big bets at Meta from an investment profile perspective are on the metaverse and AI. There are 4 buckets that kind of ladder up into that. You've got mixed reality with Quest, and then our wearables segment, which ladder up into the metaverse. And then on the AI side, we've got Llama, which is our open source large language model, and then Meta AI, which is your digital assistant, which is available across a bunch of our apps and soon coming to Quest. So those are kind of the 4 buckets. We're going to touch on each of those, and then with a little bit of extra tagged on at the end. So let's talk a little bit about mixed reality. And Quest 3S, which is our newest entry into the Quest portfolio. So we announced this a couple of weeks ago at Connect. It's actually, what day are we? It's 15th, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it's 15th, yeah. So as of today, this is available. So you can go to your reseller and buy Quest 3S, which is awesome. So as I said, we were here last year launching Quest 3, which was our first mainstream mixed reality device. It's been an awesome year of seeing how mixed reality has sort of scaled itself within the enterprise space. We've seen, what was I trying the other day? Seen everything from mixed reality fire safety training, which is kind of terrifying, but also incredibly impactful. I've seen mixed reality briefing centers. Even most recently, a couple of airlines in Europe have actually started rolling out Quest 3 with custom mixed reality experiences inside their cabins to replace the entertainment system there, which is pretty cool. So imagine getting on a plane, popping on a headset and having a 100-inch TV in front of you versus the tiny little 8-inch thing. So it's been super exciting. However, for us, innovation isn't just about sort of how do we move the technology forward. It's also how do we make that technology more accessible to more people and to, as I said, a wider audience. So as I said, just a few weeks ago, we announced Quest 3S. It's a headset with the same mixed reality capabilities and processor as the Quest 3. However, available at a much, much lower price point. So that's actually $200 less than a Quest 3. As I said, this is available today. So a couple of call outs. You've got the same mixed reality capabilities of the Quest 3. You've got the same vivid pass-through. You've got the hand tracking, which has come on leaps and bounds over the last year as a result of software updates. You've got the touch controllers, and then of course the app catalog, which spans sort of course the consumer side of things, but we've seen a huge uptick in enterprise and productivity apps making its way into the App Store as well. So really, really excited about this device. One thing I do want to highlight actually, as I said, if you've already invested in Quest 3 as a device, that is, you have the best device on the market. Where we're positioning 3S is perhaps if you're starting to think about exploring an XR program, or maybe you're wanting to update an existing fleet of perhaps Quest 2, or maybe even earlier devices, we think Quest 3S is kind of where where that will play well. Awesome. So insert fancy animation. So the Quest 3 joins the Quest 3S in the portfolio. We're going to have both in our booth over the next couple of days, so please do come by. We're there with 3 of our awesome ISV partners, so we'll be able to showcase some of the fantastic use cases that both devices support. So just before we move on to talk a bit more about sort of AI and AR and wearables and all that good stuff, over the last year, as I said, we've seen incredibly strong adoption of Quest 3 and sort of mixed reality experiences, both in the enterprise and education space. So I wanted to share a video of one of our partnerships that we launched slightly earlier this year, actually. It's with an organization called Inspire Ed. So these folks run a network of schools. I'm going to get fact-checked on this in the video in a minute, I think. But I think it's just over 120 schools in 24 countries, and there's roughly 80,000 pupils. And what they've done is they've actually taken a large chunk of their existing curriculum, and they've rebuilt it in mixed reality, which is absolutely awesome. So I'm just going to play this video.
The Inspired Education Group has 120 schools around the 6 continents.
Put your headsets on.
We are using more than 2,000 MetaQuest devices in all of our schools around the globe.
The trigger is to select one of the components.
Teaching with virtual and mixed reality, we are using all of these possibilities to enhance the curriculum. We are providing experiences to our students.
This is amazing.
Everything can be tailor-made in geography.
Can you pick it up?
Yeah. Computer science.
Whoa.
And the arts lesson.
What is this one?
We noticed that the students who were using the headsets improved their performance. Seeing some of the students that were more shy during a lesson, and when they were behind a headset, they were a completely different student.
Isn't it cool? It's amazing.
The MetaQuest helped the Inspired Education Group to achieve one of our main goals, that is to have global citizens. We are taking our students places where we couldn't, and we are connecting teachers, we are connecting students from different parts of the world. The headsets give the opportunity to our students to learn faster, learn in a better way, but also to learn in a way that makes sense for them.
Awesome. So while this is, of course, focused on sort of an educational institute, I think a few of us have already had this conversation this morning. A lot of the initial use cases where we're seeing really, really strong ROI is the training, it is the onboarding. So I think it's a natural progression. We're seeing a lot of schools start to copy similar programs. So next I want to talk a little bit about presence as the defining quality of XR as the next compute platform. I kind of snuck this next slide in because it's something I'm super excited about. Digital twins have been such a big part of the success of what mixed reality and VR in enterprise looks like. And this is something we recently announced. It's called Hyperscape. So it uses some really high quality 3D rendering techniques called Gaussian splating. It'll allow you eventually to be able to just take a phone, scan an existing physical space, and have a really, really high quality render directly in your Quest 3. So you can actually try this now if anyone's got a Quest 3. We've just released a beta app in the App Store called Horizon Hyperscape. So you can actually go and download that and try out a few of these environments. I think this video is a little bit misleading. It kind of makes it feel like it's just a 360-degree video, but this is actually a high-quality full render of a space. So eventually the goal is that this will make it incredibly easy for end-user organizations and our partner network to be able to build and add value on those 3D spaces, which is really cool. So yeah, it's awesome. If you've got a Quest 3, go download the app. It's free, it's awesome. So next, let's talk a little about AI. So AI underpins everything that we're building in the metaverse, whether that's at the device layer, whether it's sort of at the Horizon OS layer or actually sort of the software and the SDKs that we'll be eventually releasing. So let's talk a bit more about that. So the two main, I guess, sort of products that we have that sit in the AI space, and I'll talk a bit about how we've seen these applied for sort of enterprise VR and MR as well, are Meta Llama. So Llama is our large language model. It's the largest and we believe the most high-performant open source large language model. And then we have Meta AI, which is built on top of Llama. Meta AI is digital assistant. You can access it across all of the Meta family of apps, and that'll be coming to Quest as well. And actually, as of a couple of weeks ago, we believe it's the most used AI globally, with roughly sort of 500 million folks using it every single month. The reason I get pretty excited about Llama in this space, in sort of the near term, is actually its application for some of the experiences that we've seen organizations already start to build out. Just a few weeks ago, I tried an experience that a company had built where they'd actually used Llama to train it on their internal operating procedures. They were a heavy sort of frontline facing organization, and they built an experience to train employees on how to deal with customers in specific experiences. So they had these two AI avatars in this mixed reality experience. You'd go in and you'd have a customer, and it would create an experience. It might be a sort of annoyed customer or some of the challenges that you'd have. And you'd go through that, and then the secondary AI avatar actually gave you feedback based on your tonality, your body language, and how you were adhering to the company policies. It's really, really cool. So that's just an example, but as I said, this is fully open source. You can actually start to use this model now to experiment, and we've seen a bunch of our partners already start to build out AI-focused experiences. So speaking of AI, we're going to talk a little bit about glasses, and then we'll talk a bit more about glasses when I get really excited. So we launched Ray-Ban Meta this time last year, when we've really seen this emergence of a new AI-centric device category. We actually thought that you'd have to wait until we had fully holographic AR lenses before we got sort of mainstream adoption. But I think AI, particularly with some of the sort of large language model assistants that we saw blow up last year, with that combined with the fact that it's just a good-looking pair of glasses, we've seen these really, really be successful in the near term. We've got these at the booth, so come and try it out. So it's everything from video calling, you've got photo and video capture, you've got the ability to listen, whether that's to music or to calls. And then, of course, you've got the Meta AI that's embedded in that. And we've made a bunch of updates recently on this. Big one is it's incredibly natural to talk to the AI assistant. You're no longer having to sort of say, hey, Meta, and be very explicit. You can start to talk to it as if it is another person working with you. The next up is translations, which we're seeing huge adoption of. Personally, I'm very excited about this one. And that's multimodal translation. So what that means is you can both look at, in this case, let's say you're looking at a menu in a different language, and you have, if you're like me and speak literally just English, you have no idea what it's saying, but you want a paella. You can ask the AI to translate the menu. But the next step of that, which is where it becomes even more powerful in terms of sort of creating connection potentially between employees where there is a discrepancy in sort of some of the core languages, is live translation, live audio translation. So if I'm wearing the glasses and someone is speaking to me in Spanish, the glasses will live translate that Spanish and speak to me in English in my ears. Equally, if the other person happens to also be wearing a pair, my English would be translated back to Spanish. So that's very, very cool. And the other two pieces are around the AI being able to take actions based on what you're seeing. So a couple of examples here are, of course, if you're walking along, it's like you can ask it to remind you or to call a number that you see on a flyer or to scan a QR code, which is one of the things that we're starting to see some organizations test as sort of internal pilots. There's lots of QR codes and barcodes around every enterprise, I think, on the planet. So you can start to see a bit of see there. Awesome. So you're going to see me jump up and down a little bit more this bit because I get very, very excited. So we've talked about our updates of what is available now. As I said, Quest 3S is available today. Llama 3.2 was just announced, which is our largest and most performant open source language model that you can go and start developing with today. What I want to talk a bit about is our investments with AR. If you saw Connect a few weeks ago, some of this will be sort of a little bit of a deeper dive into what we talked about then, but we're very, very excited. So over the last few years, we've been working on full holographic AR glasses. This is still sort of the ultimate vision at Meta for where we want to go, and that will sit alongside sort of mixed reality and VR, which there will always be use cases which are applicable, and the value is driven from a mixed reality or a VR experience. But and Brad was talking a bit about this, as we work towards what we believe will be hockey stick growth, a big portion of that we believe will be the AR component there. So we call this Orion. We believe this is the most advanced AR pair of glasses that has been built, and this is our full working prototype that is going to be iterated on to become the first AR product that we will bring to market soon. And actually, I won't jump back, but you'll have seen 3 pieces up on that, just as this video is playing. You've got the glasses, and then this compute puck, which was at the bottom, and then on the left, you might have seen a wristband. So that is our first neural interface. One of the big challenges with creating a pair of glasses is of course, how do you interact with it without it being this weird, awkward walking down the street, hands in the air? And so it's an EMG band which will take some of the neural senses and small gestures to be able to control the UX. When we were building these, I think the sort of, I guess the requirements were relatively simple, like this thing needs to look good and it needs to do some cool stuff. But the tech that underlaid that was incredibly, incredibly difficult. It required creating net new compute and net new ways of actually sort of building displays and projectors within that. So it needed to be less than 100 grams. It needed to have no wires. It needed to not be a headset. Needed to have a really wide field of view. We've managed to get that field of view to just over 70 degrees now, which is awesome. It needs to be sharp enough so you can read text, whether that's reading a website, reading a report, whatever it is. Large enough to display both cinema screen if you're at home, or multiple monitors. If you're like me, I'm a bit of a power user, and that's one of my big use cases for Quest currently. You need to have those monitors. And it needs to be crystal clear. Remember, this is not pass-through. Like, this is not cameras feeding what you're looking at back into your eyes. This is a crystal clear view to the real world. And as I said, you need to be able to interact with them in a really, really natural way. It was funny when I had the privilege of trying Orion for the first time. So they give you an hour, and you're in there, and you get to try all these different experiences. And it's incredible. I'm obviously slightly biased, but it's awesome. It's the thing that I dreamed of when I saw Minority Report 20 odd years ago. And it's here. This works. This is a real product, which is really, really exciting. But as I was doing it, they put the EMG wristband on you, and you start to interact. And for the first 30 minutes, because I live in my Quest 3, I kept putting my hands up, so I was trying to do it like this. And of course, there's eye tracking, there's hand tracking in there. And the person that was helping with the demo was like, you don't need to put your hands up. And they kept like pushing my hands down. So again, as we think about sort of how do we get to mass adoption, you're not going to be walking around the streets sort of hands in the air doing this. And with the EMG bracelet, wherever you are, you can have those subtle gestures and make it very, very natural. Cool. So there's a bunch of stuff that we're going to improve. We want to make sure that we want to bump the resolution up actually a little bit. We want to reduce the form factor even further. And we also want to get it to a price point sort of roughly in line with a smartphone or a laptop. All of these things we have line of sight to. So this is a product. This is going to come to market. It'll be an even better version of what you're going to see in this video, but we're really, really excited about this. So I want to share a little video of what the journey to get to this point looks like, and kind of what that's going to look like in the future as well.
But we're not going to be here in the 2030s communicating and using computing devices that are exactly the same as what we have today. And someone has to build that and believe in it.
Meta invented a damn time machine. Hi, Nora. Daddy's calling from the future. I'm wearing these amazing AR glasses that you'll probably use when you grow up.
Over the next 10 years, the form factor is just going to keep on getting smaller and smaller, and eventually we're going to have what looks like normal-looking glasses.
You're looking at the culmination of decades of breakthrough inventions in nearly every field of computing. It's one of the hardest challenges the tech industry's ever attempted. See, Orion is a time machine. It'll let Meta live in the future as they build the next generation of AR experiences. Now let me nerd out for a second, because this is a technological marvel. The display isn't made of glass. It's made of silicon carbide, which delivers an unprecedented 70-degree field of view. That means Meta engineers figured out how to bend light beams in ways it does not like to bend. The frames are made of magnesium, just like an F1 car, because it's light and radiates away heat. I mean, you can't just put a fan in glasses. Orion cools itself by glowing. It uses the same materials NASA uses to cool satellites in space. You have to be absurdly determined to build something like this. But competitiveness runs deep around here. Mark wouldn't even let me beat him at Pong.
But then, of course, the full vision is you just have like a full field of view, holograms, where, you know, we're having this conversation in the future, and like I'm sitting on your couch next to you as a hologram, and we're just there, and we have this full sense of presence. Here we are.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention, large holographic displays. The real world is our canvas. Our experiences shouldn't be limited to glowing rectangles. One day soon, we'll once again look up, connected, empowered, and present.
Awesome. So I can't help but smile when I watch that video. The 15-year-old nerd from 20-odd years ago is getting very excited. So you saw a bunch of different things there. You saw sort of Avatar SDK, you saw the presence piece, and of course you saw a lot of different app experiences. I mentioned this right at the start. None of this stuff works if we don't build an ecosystem around it. And so there's a lot of investment in how do we build the SDKs that support all this stuff. But I wanted to give you guys a glimpse into what's coming in the near future. So it's very, very exciting. So just to close it out and bring it back to where we are and share a few updates on the Quest for Business and the Quest side. As I said, Quest 3S and Quest 3, currently headsets in the market. We launched Quest for Business a year ago, and this is our platform for managing Quest devices at scale. We've evolved that product a huge amount over the last 12 months. I think even quite a lot of you in this room have given feedback from a product feature set. A lot of that stuff has been released today, and the roadmap looking forward is something I'm really, really proud of. And we've kind of looked at it through three lenses. One, how do you create a good sort of individual experience if I'm just using the headset one-to-one? Number two, how do I create a really great experience in an environment where multiple folks are using the same headset, as we do see that being a high proportion of people and how organizations are using it. And then also, how do you create a great admin experience? So there's loads of updates there. Come stop by the booth and we can go into it in a bit more detail. The other bit I'll share is how we're continuing to invest in the enterprise and in education. So we're launching Quest for Education, which will be a bundle and product that's coming next year. We're continuing to invest in enterprise and an understanding that there are different requirements that enterprises have versus potentially if you're using this on the consumer side. So a lot more options in terms of bundling and dedicated SKUs for these products that you can purchase through the reseller channel. And I've just snuck this one again in at the end, which is Windows Remote Desktop. I'm super, super excited about this one. One of my main use cases for Quest 3 is I stick on the headset and I have my three 40-inch monitors. So we're launching, should be an open preview next month, and this is Windows Remote Desktop, which is really, really powerful. So if you've got a Windows 11 laptop, you put on your Quest 3, you literally look at the keyboard of that Windows 11 computer, and it will automatically pop up and allow you to add additional virtual monitors. So really excited about this, and there's going to be some more updates from our partnership with Microsoft. And the last one, I touched on it very briefly. Since January, the number of applications, both on the sort of productivity and enterprise side and on the consumer side, has 10x'd in the App Store since January. So huge investment in the ecosystem, and a lot more developers are starting to enter that that ecosystem almost daily, which is fantastic. I've got 50 seconds left, so I don't get shouted at. So just a thank you. I said this at the start, like, we're not here without the folks who are investing in these programs. We're not here without the partners who are building incredible experiences for our devices. So a big thank you. Please do come visit us at the booth. We're at booth 401. We've got the Quest 3, we've got the Quest 3S, we've got the Ray-Bans. We're also there with 3 of our partners, Forge FX, HoloLight, and Flow Immersive as well. So they've got some amazing experiences there. So have a fantastic rest of the show. I'm looking for Brad. Yeah, please do come by the booth. I'd love to say hello. We've got our team there as well to talk about some of the other pieces that we're up to. So thank you all.